you, Madam Chair. Madam Administrator, the two cartels that are sending fentanyl into the United States are located in Mexico, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
And isn't it a fact that we could stop those cartels in their tracks if President Lopez Obrador would invite American military and/or law enforcement personnel to come into Mexico and work with his military and law enforcement personnel?
Senator, what I would say from my purview as the head of the DEA.
But is my statement true or not?
Hey everyone, welcome back to Congress Every Day. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button because today we're diving deep into a heated exchange between Senator John Kennedy and the DEA administrator. This intense conversation is centered on the growing fentanyl crisis and Mexico's role in the cartels behind it. What's even more shocking is the direct challenge Kennedy throws at the DEA, asking tough questions about why the U.S. isn't doing more to stop the cartels. So stick around as I break it all down in today's video. First things first, let's set the stage. Senator John Kennedy has had enough of the status quo. During a recent hearing,
What I would say is that we're focused on the two cartels, who we believe are doing exactly what you say. They are responsible for the fentanyl coming
Let me
into
ask
the
you
United
again.
States.
If President Lopez Obrador invited the American military and/or American law enforcement officials to come into Mexico to work with the same in Mexico, we could stop the cartels, could we not?
Senator, I believe this is a whole of government effort and has to be, including whether it's the military, us, FBI,
Now,
and others.
Madam Administrator, I've listened to you here for almost an hour telling us how bad fentanyl is. Thank you for
hearing,
that.
he absolutely grilled the DEA administrator on the issue of fentanyl trafficking coming from Mexico. He starts with a simple question. Are Mexico's cartels responsible for flooding the U.S. with fentanyl? The answer is a resounding yes. But Kennedy doesn't stop there. He goes straight to the heart of the matter, questioning whether the American military and law enforcement could intervene to shut down these cartels, if invited by Mexico's president, Lopez Obrador. Now, the DEA administrator doesn't give a straightforward yes. Instead, she talks about a whole-of-government approach, emphasizing that it's not just about military intervention, but a collective effort involving multiple...
We know.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask you a third time. If President Lopez Obrador invited the American military and/or law enforcement personnel to come into Mexico and work with the same in Mexico, we could stop the cartels. Isn't that a fact?
So, Senator, I can speak to the law enforcement side of this, and you just mentioned law enforcement. I believe that this is vital for both Mexico and the United States. Mexicans are dying as well, as we showed in the Chapitos.
Well, then why don't we stop them?
So
would it help? Let me ask you a fourth time. Would it help if President
involving
Lopez...
multiple agencies, including law enforcement and international cooperation? But Senator Kennedy isn't satisfied with this answer, pressing the issue even further. He wants a simple answer. Could we stop the cartels if the U.S. and Mexico work together more directly? This is where things get even more intense. Kennedy flat out criticizes the current efforts by the U.S. government, pointing out that even though more money is being poured into the problem every year, the fentanyl crisis keeps getting worse. He makes a bold point. When you fail in the real world, you get fired. But in government, failure just leads to more funding. Ouch. Kennedy's frustration is clear. He wants action, not excuses. The real kicker comes when Kennedy asks the DEA administrator why she hasn't gone to...
Obrador, I don't think it's a complicated question, Madam Administrator. You're asking us for more money every year, more money, and it gets worse, worse, and worse. You know, in the real world, the nitty-gritty of the real world, when you fail, you get fired. In government, when you fail, you get more money because obviously you need it. Now, let me ask you a fourth time. If President Lopez Obrador, and I'd appreciate an answer, if President Lopez Obrador invited the American military and/or law enforcement personnel to come into Mexico and work with his, we could stop the cartels, couldn't we?
I believe, Senator, that we can stop the cartels.
Okay, have you made that suggestion to President Biden?
Hasn't gone to President Biden with the idea of directly working with President Lopez Obrador to stop the cartels. He accuses both governments of failing to do what's necessary to put a stop to the cartel violence. With the U.S. economy 18 times larger than Mexico's, Kennedy points out that the U.S. holds the power and influence to make real changes, but the cartels are still running rampant. To wrap things up, the DEA administrator tries to defend the agency's ongoing efforts, emphasizing the work being done by DEA officers around the world. However, Kennedy isn't buying it. He calls out the lack of decisive action and challenges her to push harder for a solution that could actually work. It's a sharp back and forth, and it's clear Kennedy is frustrated by the slow pace of change. His message is loud and clear. Something needs to be done, and it needs to happen now. So, what do you think? Does the U.S. need to do more to combat the fentanyl crisis, and should military intervention be on the table? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear from you. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more in-depth analyses of current events. Until next time.